Ba ba da ba, ba 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 ba, ba ba dee dee. Hey there, everybody. How's everyone doing on this fine Saturday? Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you coming by. Today we are going to go over the latest ancient historical and archaeological discoveries just from this last month. Okay? And there's a lot. Okay? I curate what I think are the most interesting ones. Man, there's so many to go through. You'd be surprised in 1 month how much can be found. And of course, we're including not only things that are discovered in the ground this month, but also things that have been studied that came out of the ground, right? Something about history that's been studied, I include that as well. Ancient history we're doing here, folks, for those of you who are new. And of course, as usual, I will also be answering any questions you may have for me. Hopefully about what we're talking about, but, you know, the odd question about this or that is always fine. And I can't get to everybody, of course, but you'll be more likely to be seen if you give me a super chat question. Super chats are much appreciated as it helps support the channel and keeps these kinds of live streams going. Can you hear me all right? Let me know in the comments if my sound is good. I want to make sure the correct microphone is on and not the webcam microphone. Hey, check out what I'm reading here. Oh. Wow, interesting. The giants, the ancient giants who ruled America. And giants on record. No, I'm not I'm not a fan of these books, but I have to sometimes get these books of woo to do research for an upcoming video. And in this particular video that I'm working on for my myth series, I'm going to be talking about the Smithsonian cover-up, evidence for giants and for Egyptian ruins in the Grand Canyon. Have you ever heard this one? Oh, actually it's two. The giants is one, the Egyptian ruins is the other thing. But both of them are Smithsonian cover-ups, all right? So we're going to be having a video on that coming out in the next month or so. It takes me a long time to do research for these debunking videos, you know, but anyway, if you like those kinds of videos, let me know. It's hard; they're harder to do, but I know some people are big fans, you know. Okay, so anyway, shall we talk about the latest discoveries? Huh? All right, let me pull up the first one. Here. Yeah. All right, this one is out of Turkey, and it is archaeologists uncover 2,800-year-old Lydian palace in western Turkey. So take a look at that photo, huh? Look how far down on the ground they're digging there, folks. Yes, now I don't know if you know much about ancient Lydia, but Lydia is a culture that existed in Anatolia, Asia Minor, what is now Turkey, and it was a very powerful kingdom for a while. The most famous king was Croesus. Maybe you know a little bit about him, and he reigned right before the Persians conquered it. Yeah, but anyway, here we are at the ancient site of Sardis. This is one of the most important cities over there. It's on the coast, the western part of Anatolia, and yeah, and here you see the remains of an 8th century BC Lydian palace. Look how far down it goes. You're looking at the walls there. Isn't that amazing? Yes, Sardis is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And here you have Professor Nicholas Cahill from the University of Wisconsin. Yes, there are Americans that are working along with the Turkish on this particular excavation. And so you can find out all about it here, but one of the things he says is, historians once thought the Lydians only began urbanization in the 7th century BC and had lived in villages before that. These findings prove otherwise. Sardis was already a major monumental city in the 8th century BC. The terrace system began then, showing the Lydians were an Anatolian civilization looking eastward, not a Greek one. So very, very interesting, huh? I don't know if you've read much about Lydia, but it is a really interesting subject. I haven't really done many videos on Lydia, but it might be worth doing. But of course, I did explore Western Turkey when in my Turkey series of Antiquities Explorer, and we went to a lot of great sites, but we did not go to Sardis. Okay, that would have been cool. Maybe next time. Yes. Oh, we got people coming in from all over here. We've even got someone from Thailand who's staying up. Someone from Dartmoor. Let us know where you're coming in from here. Lancashire? Is it Lancashire or Lancashire? I know how you British always kind of condense words, so I'm not really sure. Lancashire? Yes. Oh, yes, an empire will fall. You're right about that, Imperiused. This was the prophecy that he got, and it was his own empire. Yeah. Georgia, and I'm not talking about Georgia, USA. We're talking about Georgia, the country. Bulgaria, Edinburgh, amazing. Germany, Cologne, Germany. Ohio, Albany, Western Australia. Wow, nice. Well, it's pretty late over there, isn't it? Wow. Or maybe it's morning already. Toronto, fantastic. Bakersfield, all right. Great to see all these people. So yeah, look at some of these pictures here. This is not from the palace here, I don't think. This is just part of Sardis. There haven't been a lot of pictures released of it, but this one here is of the palace, and yeah, amazing, huge palace for the king. Yeah. All right, let's look at another one, shall we? Lost currency of Southeast Asia shows ancient civilizations were more connected than we ever imagined. Yeah, take a look at these coins. Now, what does this mean? Okay, well, Southeast Asia, you of course know where that is, right? We're talking about, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, all those places there. What were they like in the ancient period? Well, there were traders that existed there, and they were trading with, of course, China and with the West. We weren't really sure, how much people were getting around, but a new study out of the University of Singapore, published in Antiquity, and I think I have, here's the main study article here, okay? But the result of the study was that they found that, from the coins, that there was a lot of trade going on with a lot of different parts of the world in ancient times. Okay? This is in the first millennium AD, it says. Okay? But as early as the 2nd century AD, Chinese records mention Southeast Asian polities as critical waypoints in an enormous trade network linking the Near East and China. Archaeological digs have uncovered tangible proof, fragments of Roman glassware, Indian jewelry, ceramics from Persia, China, and beyond. But among these discoveries, the silver coins stand out. Struck with images of a rising sun on one side and the Srivatsa, an early symbol with deep roots in Indian religious traditions. On the other, these coins are miniature works of political art. See, but they tell us a lot about who was there, right? They were accepting, I guess, coinage from many different places. It was all good, okay? And they found 245 coins across the region. They did a whole study of them. And they found coins from a lot of places. Bangladesh, Vietnam. Yeah. So a pretty interesting study that shows that people were getting around. There were Romans coming to Southeast Asia. Okay? Actually, there were Romans probably getting to China. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, so I thought that was an interesting... now, this is what we would call a historical discovery. This is looking at things that were found archaeologically afterward and seeing what we can find out about them. Yeah. Oh, we got someone from South Africa, India, another person from Ohio, Albany, 2 a.m. Oh, that's not Albany, New York. Yeah. Was Nefertiti from the Hittite Empire? No. Nefertiti was from Egypt. Oh, Glenn, thanks for coming. Glenn is the moderator, everybody. Please give Glenn your utmost respect. Oh, you have a headache. Okay, a migraine. Well, I hope we can clear it up today. Yes. Ecuador and Sumerian eagle-headed god statues matching? No. You'll see this going around online, but the one from Ecuador is a modern replica. And by the way, these aren't Sumerian eagle-headed statues. These are Assyrian. If I'm understanding correctly what you're referring to. Yeah. All right. So let's take a look at another one here, folks. Urban civilization rose in southern Mesopotamia on the back of tides. What does it mean? Well, I don't know if you know this or not, but we're talking about ancient Sumer, okay? And there was always this question of, why did the southern Mesopotamians develop complex states, urban society, before northern Mesopotamia? Now, of course, there's a little bit of blur there now because we're finding early cities in northern Mesopotamia now, but certainly there were more cities in southern Mesopotamia. But why did they develop down there so much and not so much up north in the early days? Okay, well, this new study says it has to do with the water. Okay, so it's kind of we didn't really know before, so we had all of these different theories about why it could be, because the environment is more difficult down there. Okay, you don't have good stone to build with. You don't have good timber to build with. You've got all of these marshlands and swamps. It's just not conducive to urban society, and that somehow that's where they had it, right? So here's what the study is all about. It came out this month. Okay. The research introduces a novel paleo-environmental model in which tidal dynamics influenced the earliest development of agriculture and socio-political complexity in Sumer. Yeah. Our results show that Sumer was literally and culturally built on the rhythms of water, the cyclical patterns of tides together with delta morphodynamics. How the form or shape of a landscape changes over time due to dynamic processes were deeply woven into the myths, innovations, and daily lives of the Sumerians. Yeah. So it says that about 7,000, 5,000 years ago, the Persian Gulf extended farther inland. Now, we did know that before. And tides pushed fresh water twice daily far into the lower reaches of the Tigris and Euphrates. The scholars propose that the early communities must have harnessed this dependable hydrology, using short canals to irrigate crops and date groves, enabling high-yield agriculture without the need for large-scale infrastructure. Yeah, so this is kind of the basis for how everything got started there, why it got started there, and so yeah, it's super interesting. So this is another study, and it does have a link to the study if you want to see it. So anyway, very cool. Oh, and here it is. Oh, this is the study from PLLS 1. Yeah, so if you want to see it, I'm going to put links to all of these after the show underneath the video so you can check them out when you get a chance. Oh, we got someone from Brazil. Yeah. Nazca lines, mandala. Are you asking about the... I need more specific questions. Yeah. Okay. So, what about Nazca lines, mandala? Timeline, issues with this. Nazca lines estimated 2,000 plus minus. I'm not exactly sure what you're saying, but we know about the Nazca culture and when the Nazca culture lived, when it thrived. It's all available. I'm hoping to go to Peru sometime soon to go investigate. But that's basically when these Nazca lines were made. All right, let's look at another one here. Ancient Maya population may have topped 16 million, Tulane research shows. So, so there was a new study about the population of the Maya. Basically, it wasn't the whole Maya area. I think it's in the southern regions. So it's not the entire Maya world, okay? But it's where a lot of the main part of it was, okay? Yeah, across parts of modern-day Guatemala, southern Mexico, and western Belize. So I guess it's not including the Yucatan. There were Maya there. But anyway, the research was published in the Journal of Archaeological Science, and it estimates, this is from LiDAR mainly, they're using this to figure out how many domiciles there were and everything, and figuring out what the population was. But there's a 45% jump in what they thought it was before, and now the estimate is between 9.5 million and 16 million people inhabited that region during the heyday, which is the late classic period between 600 and 900 CE. This is a 95,000 square kilometer area. Okay? Now, or sometimes it's called the Maya lowlands, but they were densely inhabited and highly structured, it says. Okay? So yeah, now this is not on the ground excavating, but this is done through LiDAR surveys. But it's a pretty good estimate of what it was. So it was higher than we thought it was before. So there were more Maya there. Now this, of course, is during the heyday. This is several hundred years before the Spanish arrived. And as you know, the Maya went into decline. Actually, there's a new study about that, too. Take a look at this. Stalagmites in Mexican caves reveal duration and severity of drought during the Maya collapse. Yeah, a drought lasting 13 years and several others that lasted over 3 years may have contributed to the collapse of the classic Maya civilization. Chemical fingerprints from a stalagmite in a Mexican cave have revealed. Yeah, this is an amazing thing about science, right, and archaeology, all of that. You've got one stalagmite, and you can figure that out from a stalagmite? Yes, you can. Yeah, what do? They analyze the oxygen isotopes in the stalagmite, and this tells them what the rainfall levels were during certain periods of time. And in this case, it's between 871 and 1021 CE. Now, this is no longer in the ancient period, but so I told you I'm only going to be talking about ancient discoveries, but it's about the Maya. They're an ancient civilization. It's about their collapse. I thought we should include it, Yeah. So it's the first time it's been possible to isolate rainfall conditions for individual wet and dry seasons during what they call the terminal classic period. Yeah. So isn't that really interesting? Yeah. So we had droughts that probably led to their demise. So I'm sure the population went down during this period. Yeah. Mithra says the remains of the little woodhenge about 5 miles from me never seems to get any love from archaeologists. It's pretty small, and the posts were sadly replaced with concrete posts. Maybe that's why. Maybe, Mithra, what is the name of it? Did you give it before and I missed it? Let us know. Okay. You ready for another one? Oh, by the way, speaking of the Maya, I have to mention this. I cannot not mention this. Some of you know this already. I'm leading a tour group into the Maya world this November. There's a link below the video right now. You can find out about it. But anyway, 2 weeks among the ancient Maya, Zapotec, and Olmec ruins. All right? We're going to investigate all of these ancient structures. And you might think, is there really that much to see there? Oh, there's a lot to see, let me tell you. And we're going to be going into places that some people can't go into. It's going to be amazing. And I'm going to be delivering lectures there. It's basically like a class on the ground in the ancient Maya world. So it's going to be fantastic. We're going to see tombs and temples and step pyramids and the whole shot. So if you can afford it, come along with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. I just had to plug that. All right. Greetings from Lower Austria. In Austria, yes. I figured that would be in Austria. All right, amazing. Okay, let's take a look at another one here. Egypt recovers 3 massive ancient colossi from Abu Qir seabed. Okay? Now, technically, they're not new colossi, HP. I think they knew they were there. Their divers knew they were there before. Okay? This is, as you may know, this is on the coast, in the delta of Egypt, and it is flooded over the years. The things that were above ground in ancient times are now above ground. Above the water in ancient times are now in the water. Okay? Parts of Alexandria are in the water. Parts of Abu Qir, of course, is in the water, and other places like that. And there are ancient ruins down there. Okay, so 3 monumental statues from the seabed were just brought up. You can see one of them here, and then bringing up the statue. It's broken, as you can see, and you can see another one right there. The head's missing. But these, if they can find all the parts, they can put it back together for a museum. Yeah, this costs a lot of money. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure how much money it costs, but it is. Look at, there's a lot of people here working. So that's why it hasn't been done before. But when you get money for projects, then you can do your projects. So, yeah, there's a submerged Roman-era city complete with temples, water cisterns, fish tanks, and ancient quays, likely an extension of the famed city of Canopus. So Canopus is the ancient Roman name. Yeah, and then they already knew under there that there were things like royal statues, sphinxes, ushabtis, anchors, coins, and so forth. And so they want to start bringing some of that stuff up. But I guess they're starting with these big statues. And, they don't look like much right now, but there's going to be more coming out of there. I think this is just the beginning of this big project, so I thought that was worth sharing with you. Professor, will you be recording the tours in Mexico? Yes, I will. I most certainly will. I'll be filming a new season of Antiquities Explorer there. So if you can't go, you will at least get to see the video. Yeah. The Göbekli Tepe civilization was the origin of early Mesopotamian civilization. The origin. No, I mean, lots of things were happening all through that area at the same time. So it's not all coming from like one place. Does that make sense? Different people in different areas were doing different things. Now, Göbekli Tepe is not an urban culture, but it is a pretty large Stone Age culture, and they were already carving stones and pillars and things. They didn't have all the accoutrements of urban society, but they're on the way there. Now, did the people in southern Mesopotamia get their idea from that? Well, traditions get passed on, so it's certainly possible. Certainly possible they got traditions from other places too. So it could have been an influence. So I wouldn't say it's the origin, but it could have been an influence that was passed on to different cultures in between, because there would have been a lot of cultures in between them, because there's thousands of years between them. But, it's definitely in that region and probably had an influence over time. Okay. All right. I see you're deleting comments. Is that you, Glenn? If people have pseudo-scientific ideas, I don't mind if they say stuff. It's only if they're like harassing people or being a jerk or something like that we need to stop them. But otherwise, if they want to say Atlantis is real or something like that, I have no problem with it. Okay. Just don't let them hijack the chat. All right. Let's look at another one here. Man, my ad blocker doesn't work on this Italian site. Okay. Anyway, so Phlegraean fields, submerged thermal environment resurfaces, possibly the baths of Cicero's villa. So have you ever heard of Baia? Baia is an ancient city that is now underwater, okay, off the coast of Italy. All right, there's an underwater park there now, so you can actually, if you're a scuba diver or something like that, you can actually go underwater and look at it and so on and so forth. However, there are underwater excavations going on right now there, and new things are being found, okay? And take a look at this, okay? The ruins of the Portus Iulis within Zone B of the Baia underwater park. You can see a little bit here also of it from the top of the water, or from water level, I guess that is. All right. But anyway, they just recently found the remains of a bath. Okay, and the description of it and things found in it This is not a definite identification, but they suggest it's in the right location, okay? Matching it up with what we know from documents, ancient Roman documents, that maybe it was the villa of Cicero, the famous Roman statesman Cicero. Cicero is the English pronunciation, is completely wrong. It's pronounced Cicero, but we say Cicero in English. Sorry about that. But yes. So the study identifies the hall with the baths of Cicero's villa. All right. So I think now that I'm look at this again, this was not just found, but it was just studied. Yeah, it's a study of the remains of the building that I've identified it as a bathhouse from Cicero's villa. Yeah. So it probably was there. We knew it probably was there already, but it had not yet been identified. So that's pretty cool. There's not a whole lot to look at, though, in the pictures. Yeah. I always love submerged sites, says HP. Something so exciting about something found in deep waters. Yeah. I'm actually working on a video that you may be interested in for September. The greatest underwater archaeology finds from the last year. So, if that sounds like something cool, keep your eye out for it. Yeah. Hi, David. Thanks for all you do. Thank you, Alex. Everything just keeps getting older. Well, some things get older. You know what gets older? Not what gets older is when certain things began, right? So, like, when did agriculture begin in this area, or when did this practice begin, or when did iron smelting, or all that stuff could get older, right? As we find more things, but like radiocarbon data, an ancient site level, it's not going to get older. Right? You might find something beneath it that's older, but the thing that you date is pretty much going to stay that way. I mean, there are exceptions, but generally speaking, things that are already dated are pretty much, those are the dates, you know? Now, they may find, it's 100 years off or something. That could happen. You know, we can do, with Bayesian analysis, you can adjust somewhat, but it's not going to be a lot older or anything like that. Imperial Units, thank you so much for the donation. Our first super chat. Underwater archaeology has produced some of the most exciting finds in the past few decades. I always love to see more. All right, well, I will try to help you out there. Yeah. Thank you so much for the donation. Super chats is so much appreciated, everybody. And if you want to get noticed, this is a good way. All right, let's look at another one here. Mystical tombs and lights. 150 unique burial mounds discovered in Kazakhstan. All right. So look at this. This is in western Kazakhstan. Now, you might say, well, what is that a picture of? Okay, well, there's a mound back there. You see the mound in the background? There's a mound. Well, there's 150 of those that have just been found. Okay? And they date back to the early Iron Age in the region. And they possibly belong to the Sarmatians, but maybe it's an unknown culture that we are unaware of, okay? But it's in the proximate area where the Sarmatians were around, okay? But they were nomadic, so they're not always in the same spot, okay? One of the mounds had a moat around it, 140-meter wide mound, suggesting it may have been the resting place of a person of high social status. The sheer scale of the site, with 150 mounds, distinguishes it from typical Iron Age burials and highlights its potential importance for Kazakhstan's historical record. Yeah. They're also interestingly shaped. You can see one here from above. All right. And in case you didn't know, I've had some Kazakhstan discoveries in recent broadcasts here because they're finding more and more stuff there. So we're going to be finding a lot more things in Kazakhstan. This is an area in Central Asia that Americans don't know a lot about. I don't know if Europe knows a lot about. But, the Mongols wiped out, civilization in that region. And now it's very rural. But back in the day, prior to that, they did have amazing things. Now, this is, of course, before all the cities. This is in the days of the burial mounds. But there's a lot of discoveries that have been coming out of this area. Experts believe that with careful excavation and study, the West Kazakhstan burial complex may reveal crucial details about the region's early inhabitants. They want to find out if it's the Sarmatians or not. Red, thank you so much for the donation. I very much appreciate it. It helps the channel. It looks like a little British Neolithic long barrel. Yeah, it kind of does. I wonder if they had a language or writing system. Well, maybe we'll find out. Yeah. Can you expand? Do you mean... Oh, you're talking to somebody else, not me. Okay. All right, let's look at another one. All right. Scientists uncover secrets of Stonehenge's mysterious cattle. If there's one thing about Stonehenge that I'm sure you're interested in, and it's the cows. Okay? No, actually, this is kind of important. And the reason why I brought it up is because, as you may already know, many of the stones from Stonehenge have been examined, and they've been traced back to Wales, right? There were 2 quarries in Wales that were the sources of the Stonehenge bluestones. That's the consensus anyway. All right? Well, now they have examined this cow's jawbone that was found at the site. It was found at the site way back in the 1920s, but they have examined this cow bone now, okay? And it's been dated to about 2995 to 2900 BCE, so this is right in the area when the monument was being built, okay? And what's interesting about the cow, okay, is that they were able, from its chemical signature, to trace it to Wales. Okay? So it's basically corroboration of some kind of connection between Stonehenge and Wales, where the bluestones came from. Maybe the cow was brought at the time, or something like that. So, yeah. So that's kind of interesting, right? They were even able to figure out the cow's diet from its teeth. Pretty interesting. So that's a bit of a corroboration of the belief that the bluestones are from Wales. Yeah. Which is, pretty good distance that they had to bring them. I know there are a lot of people out there like, there's no way, they're just too heavy, those stones. Those primitive savages couldn't have done it. But I'm not one of those people. Okay. I like to give people credit. All right, let's look at another one here. You know about the Dead Sea Scrolls, right? Okay, I'm sure you've heard about them. Well, the caves in which the Dead Sea Scrolls were found still have some things in them that aren't scrolls, okay, but other things. So they found an inscription in one of the caves just recently. Okay, there's Dr. Asaf Geyer, who is there on site, and yeah, so they found an Aramaic inscription. I don't know if you know about the Aramaic language, but it's a Semitic language related to Hebrew. And that this inscription may be, I think they mean linked, not inked. Oh, maybe they do mean inked. Yeah, maybe inked. By Jewish rebels from the Bar Kokhba revolt against the Romans in the 2nd century CE. It's also possible that it comes from the first revolt in the 1st century, but they're leaning towards the 2nd. And there's just a line that reads, Abba of Naburia has perished. Okay? That's all it says. There are a couple other words, like on us he took the, but it's not preserved. Okay? And nobody knows who Abba of Naburia is. Naburia is a city in Galilee. Okay? But they think it's related to the fighting that was going on during that time. Okay? Yeah. So, pretty interesting, and I think there are more pictures. There he is again. But what about the inscription? Oh, is this it here? Oh no, this is the First Temple period inscription. This is one they already knew about that was in one of the caves. But where's the new one? There were Roman swords found in the cave too, and this is one of them. They're showing everything except... Oh, this has an Aramaic inscription. Oh yeah, this is it right here. It's on a stalactite. So, we looked at a stalagmite, and now we're looking at a stalactite, okay? Yeah, I thought the Dead Sea Scrolls were written in the Second Temple period. This is the Second Temple period. I'm sorry. the Bar Kokhba revolt is after the temple was destroyed. Yes, so it's after the Second Temple period. But the scrolls were from earlier. Actually, I think the later scrolls might go all the way up to, well, I think 1st or 2nd century. So we're in the same ballpark. Yeah. The movie Tomaris is about Sarmatians Masagetai. Excellent movie. Oh, I've never seen it. Abba means father in Jewish, am I correct? It also means father in Aramaic. Yeah. So, pretty interesting. All right, let's look at another one here. This is from Sardinia. Come on, load me up now. Oh, it's that Italian site again. Okay. Sardinia. 3 new Domus de Janus discovered in the archaeological complex of Sant'Andrea Priu. Okay. The island of Sardinia. By the way, just saying here in case you're interested, this is still tentative, but I am planning taking another group to Italy in the spring, in like May maybe, and Sardinia is on the agenda. So maybe I want to try to see if I can go to this place. But anyway, 3 new tombs were found. Okay, the Domus de Janus is a kind of tomb within the archaeological complex of Sant'Andrea Priu in the Bonorva area. Yeah. Now let's take a look at some of the pictures. Okay, you can see them right here. This is a certain style of tomb. But see, on the outside up here, you're like, it's okay, right? Then you go inside. Ooh, pretty cool, right? And these are pre-Roman tombs. Some pottery here. Let's see if they have an exact date now. Oh, they did find things from the Roman period, but I thought, am I wrong about it being pre-Roman? Doesn't have a date. But the fact that the grave goods are Imperial Roman suggests that I am incorrect. Okay, I thought this was pre-Roman, but maybe not. Maybe it's Roman. Yeah. But do you see a date? I'm not seeing any date on here. So I guess I should have looked this up more, because there's probably information about it. If you can find it online, just let us know. But I guess it's Roman then. But 3 new tombs. They are empty. Well, not empty. They had grave goods, but I don't think there were any bodies in them, as far as I understand it. Okay, very good. Let's see. It's the sea. It's the sea was dade, not the scrolls. I'm not sure what that means. I noticed the circle on the floor. Could that be for a fire or some other purpose? Stuart, do you think it's ritual? Do you think this circle in the middle is for a ritual of some kind, Stuart? I know you're drinking every time someone says that. But anyway, it does look like it could be for a fire. And what would the purpose of the fire be in a tomb? Probably a ritual. Okay. But I don't know. I'm not sure. This is a subject I don't know a lot about, the Domus de Janus tombs. But people who know about these tombs probably would know what that is. But I'm not one of them right now. But I am curious now, and I want to look it up. All right. Let's take a look at another one here. Remains of 7 children discovered in a mysterious Hittite circular structure in ancient Zipalanda. Okay, you can see the archaeological site from above here. The mound is called Ushakle Hoyuk. You can see the mound is huge, and so just parts of it here have been excavated so far. But the excavations here are ongoing. Okay, it's in central Anatolia. All right, and they found the remains of at least 7 children deposited in what researchers interpret as a ritual space, Stuart. Okay. Linked to a mysterious circular structure. Yeah. The Italians were excavating here along with the Turks. Oh, and also the British. Okay. I love these international cooperative efforts. And here you can see them working here. Along with the students helping them out. The site, inhabited since the 3rd millennium BCE, had already revealed the circular structure. This was back in 2021, a stone ring of unknown function. Okay. But now, linked with that, are these children's remains. So I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh no, are these child sacrifices? As far as I know, they don't know. So they are doing a genetic analysis right now at Ankara University, all right, to find out more about the population. The arrangement is reminiscent of Phoenician Tophits, okay? By the way, that is an indication that it could be sacrifice, where they actually burn children. I know there's a little bit of debate about this with regard to Carthage, but I am one of those people who lean towards the idea that these were child sacrifices. Yeah, but whatever the case, the children were interred here. But this is from the Hittites, so yeah, very early, much earlier than Carthage, but not earlier than the Phoenicians. The Phoenicians were around at this time too. Okay? Anyway, you can find out more about that with this article. Let's see. I wonder if the ritual had its own regional pantheon to which it was dedicated, or whether it venerated the gods of the Hittite state. Not sure. I was calling the quarrymen craftsmen. I'm presuming they would travel to the Stonehenge site to make sure there was no problem along the way. Well, yeah, I guess our quarrymen craftsmen, I would consider them kind of two different jobs. The quarrymen are the ones that work on it first, and then the craftsmen come in. That's seems to make sense to me, but I see where you're coming from. Civilizations versus barbarians. Are you talking about the sacrifice makes them barbarians? Well, you know, they were sacrificing people in China. So, in the early days, was it a civilization? Egypt had sacrifices in the early days. What is it, a civilization? Wow, a Hittite-Phoenician connection. Yeah, maybe. See, it's still early yet, but it's not that far away, you know. And they were in contact with Phoenicians. In fact, no, of course there's a connection. They controlled Phoenicia for a time, so yeah. Oh, meaning we're assuming... Oh, I work with a lady from Ankara. That's cool. Meaning we're assuming they must have existed because we traced the stones back to Wales, not that we found evidence of the Welsh craftsmen. Correct. I think it's the stones that have been traced to Wales, where the quarry was. But we've now traced the cow back to Wales, too. So it's a little bit more evidence of this. Yeah. Significant early Christian discovery. 1,500-year-old cathedral and baptistry unearthed beneath marketplace. I would be a little hesitant to call any structure from 1,500 years ago a cathedral. I might say basilica. Cathedral seems to be anachronistic to me when we're talking about, 500 CE. So anyway, but that's what they're calling it in this article. In Vence, a historic town just west of Nice in southeastern France, archaeologists have uncovered one of the most significant early Christian discoveries in decades. Beneath the covered marketplace, they found the remains of a 5th century cathedral and remarkably preserved baptistry, hidden for more than 1,500 years. So you can see some images here. There's the place where the baptism took place. It's hard to see the size, but that looks kind of small. So it looks like a baptistry that did not practice immersion, but rather, unless it's for babies, but I doubt it. Yeah. They say discoveries like this occur only once every 50 or 60 years in Europe. This is very early. When you think about it, 1,500 years ago, this puts us about 500 AD, right? So this is only like 150 years after Christianity was legalized in the Roman Empire, and that was the time when they just first started building Christian buildings. Before that, they were just using whatever building they could find, okay? But this is only like 150 years in, so pretty early Christian church. Yeah. So that was discovered in France. Pretty cool. And then in India, sculptures dating back to Karkota era. Karkota? I think Karkota era. Unearthed in Anantnag. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, sorry. Yeah, now this is slightly late in the timeline, but I thought it was worth including. The Karkota era is between 625 and 855 CE. Okay? They're known for their architectural achievements, including the Martan Sun Temple in Matan, built by King Lalitaditya Muktapida. And if I butcher that, sorry. But you can see what they found right here. Some of the artwork. Yeah. Now this is in the north of India, the very north. Pretty cool. Yeah, Kashmir, as you know, is up in the north. And they were sent to the SPS Museum for detailed analysis, so we'll find out a little bit more about them. These stones, often placed near sacred springs, or called nags, were more than grave markers. They were symbols of honor, sacrifice, and spiritual merit, deeply rooted in the region's social and religious fabric. Okay. Pretty cool. So, I just thought I'd share that one with you. To cut blocks that size, you need to be a craftsman. Well, maybe, but you can also be a quarryman. What about Jesus? Any proof evidence? You know what? I need to do a video about that, right? What is our evidence for Jesus? I'm sure that, but there's a million videos about that. But I probably should throw my what do you call that? Throw your hat into the ring? Some expression like that. Yeah. Can we assume cows were in Great Britain before it became an island? I don't know. That's one thing I have not researched. Were cows there the whole time, or were they brought over? I don't know. Sorry to say. All right. Let's see. We got a discussion here about Jesus versus Confucius. All right. Please make one for us. Okay. All right. I will. All right. Here's another one here. 2,050-year-old council building unearthed in Turkey's, well, we say Laodicea in English, but it's Laodicea. Is probably the right way to say it. Okay. And I got a chance to go there. Maybe those of you who saw my Turkey series went there. If you want to go watch it now, you can watch it. I have an episode on this city. I think I did this city and another city in that video. Which one was it? Heliopolis or something. I can't remember. But yeah, so they found a council building at the site. It's a really cool site. Not a lot of people go to it. I think when we went there was like nobody there. We had the place to ourselves, but it's huge. Okay, and some parts of it are not in the best condition, but there are cool things. And look at this! I didn't get to see this. This is a new discovery. This council building. This is what they call the boule, and the councilors would all sit on these benches here. Pretty cool, huh? You can see it from the top here. Yeah, this is from the Greco-Roman period. Wow, it's pretty good shape. Pretty good shape. Look at this. There's an inscription in Greek. Now, wait a minute. Did they? Oh, looks like a Christian cross there. So this is just graffiti. Okay. But yeah. Actually, Laodicea is mentioned in the Bible, in the New Testament. Okay. And then we have here something from Tajikistan. Ancient water pipeline unearthed on a 65-meter hill. Reveals engineering marvel of the past. Look at this. Okay, this is the place called Mutepa, and it's Taravshan, if I'm saying that right. And within it, they found an ancient water pipeline system. This is 1,500 years old. Okay, same time as that church we were just looking at. All right, in Tajikistan. This is in Central Asia. Okay. This was home to fortresses of the rulers of Uratyube. A summer 2025 expedition led by Professor Nabiyon Arakimov found this. Now take a look at there's a close-up here. Look at that. Ceramic pipes. Now, of course, there were cultures before this that had water systems. We know that there are several places, and more places are always being found that had water pipes made out of various things. Ceramics is common. There was even wooden water pipes that were found, But yeah, there are places with water pipes. The Harappan civilization had water pipes from before this, long before this. But it is interesting to find it in Tajikistan. So pretty advanced engineering for Central Asia at the time. I wanted to share that with you. So that's pretty cool, huh? Strobex, thank you so much for the donation. I always love your content. Keep up the great work, he says. All right, thank you. I appreciate that. It helps the channel, keeps it going, and of course, it motivates me to keep doing these live streams. So thank you so much. The live streams don't get a ton of views, but some people are big fans and they really want me to do it, so I continue to do it. I sometimes I'll get comments like, "Can't you just condense it and leave out all the chit chat?" But isn't that part of the fun? I think that's why you do a live stream, right? Yeah. Okay. Ancient Phoenician builders used concrete like plaster before the Romans. Hoo-hoo! All right, look at this. This, of course, is not a photo. But, archaeologists in southern Lebanon have uncovered what they say is the earliest known example of hydraulic lime plaster in Phoenician architecture. All right, so they're finding it within the walls. The material, discovered at the Iron Age site of Tel El Burak, predates Roman concrete and shows advanced engineering and sustainability practices rarely seen in the Levant. Yeah? Hey, this is one of those things we were talking about, right? Sherman, things keep getting older. Well, looks like the use of hydraulic lime plaster has just been dated to earlier in Phoenician society. All right. The findings published in scientific reports are the result of a multidisciplinary study of plaster samples taken from 3 installations at the site. One of these was a remarkably preserved wine press dating to around 725 to 600 BCE. So very early. Okay. And there you can see the wine press, well, part of it. Okay. Yeah. Researchers found crushed ceramic fragments like broken amphorae deliberately mixed into the lime binder. These inclusions acted as pozzolanic material, chemically reacting with the lime to form a hydraulic mortar that hardened in wet conditions. Isn't that great? So, advanced engineering, folks. Back in, this is what? This would be 2,800 years ago or so. So a long time ago. Let's see. China has black and white writing given by... they're still talking about Confucius versus Jesus. Wasn't there concrete-like plaster on the floors at Göbekli Tepe? There might have been some kind of plaster there. I don't know what kind it was exactly. I'll have to double check on that, but you may be right. Why were the Phoenicians so advanced? I mean, they're not the only ones that had certain things, but they did have some things that other people didn't have, right? They had writing first. Well, first, one of the first in the area. They had the purple dye, right? And now they got this. So yeah, I mean, but why? I don't know why. Sometimes it's just the culture. It's a culture that was interested in experimentation, maybe something like that. Plaster floors. Yeah, I know, Mary. I think you're right. There's definitely plaster before this, but this is calling it concrete-like plaster. Does that make a difference? I'm not so sure. I guess I have to do a deep dive into plaster. Yeah, it could just be that the writer of this article wanted to make everyone read it, and so they say before the Romans to make it seem like it's, amazing. It's still interesting, even if it's not amazing, But yeah, there is use of plaster. The more I think about it before this, yeah, even in this general vicinity. Okay, but I don't know if it's the same kind. Yeah, they did have seafaring. Yeah, that's true, which gave them ideas, I'm sure. Professor, how do you vet the veracity of the sources you're presenting today? Do you have a short list of trustworthy places you source from? Well, usually what I will do is the article that makes the announcement, right? If it's a archaeological discovery, I'll see if they quote the archaeologist, refer to the archaeologist report. Usually they'll refer back to an announcement made by a university or an archaeological organization, and I'll go back and look. Oh, yeah. See, and that's firsthand. Okay? For a historical discovery, like they're studying something, I'll go to the study. They'll usually link the study. And then I go and look at the study. Does the study say that? Ah, yeah, okay, there's the study. And that's how I verify it. Yeah. Guns, Germs, and Steel by Jared Diamond discusses why some cultures become advanced. I have not read that, but I heard it was interesting, a good book. Roman self-healing concrete is incredible when it gets wet. The cracks fill in with leach stuff from the mix. Yeah, I'm not sure if this was able to do that. Okay. They announced that they decided not to uncover all of Göbekli Tepe. That's what they say about every archaeological site in the world. Yeah. Okay, let's go to the next one. This may be a possible connection here with the Bible. Newly found 2,600-year-old seal could be from a royal official in King Josiah's time. I don't know if you know what time period we're in here, but we're talking about the state of ancient Judah, and King Josiah was the king there around the 7th century BCE. Was it the 600s? I should know this because my dissertation was on timekeeping in ancient Israel and Judah. I think it's the 600s, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. King Josiah. So anyway, we've found inscriptions that mention him, so he definitely existed. However, they found. Let me give you a little backstory. Now, you know the Temple Mount, right, in Jerusalem? This is off limits, basically, to archaeology. Okay. However, a few years ago, back in the 90s, late 90s, somebody started excavating there, and there was a huge to-do about it. But they got a bunch of debris, which was full of artifacts of different kinds. Just rubble, basically, but it had stuff in it. Well, now they've got all this stuff, and they've been going through it, okay? What's in it? What's in all this stuff, all this rubble, okay? And they found this 2,600-year-old clay seal. It's called a bulla, bearing the name Yedatiah, son of Asiyahu, okay, in ancient Paleo-Hebrew script. Paleo-Hebrew script is the script that was used for Hebrew before the Aramaic script that they use now. But anyway, so the reason why this is interesting is because there is in the Bible a Asiyahu mentioned as an official of King Josiah. And so they're saying here, maybe it's this guy's son, because it's from around the right time period. I don't know how they dated it, though. I guess from the writing style, because it's Paleo-Hebrew. But we have to be careful about this because there could be a popular name, right? It could be a name that a lot of people had. Oh, here it is. This is what it looks like. Okay. Okay. To be clear here, the difference between a seal and a bulla is the seal is like the thing that you stamp. You stamp things with, and the bulla is what gets stamped. Okay. So this is and a bulla is basically what you put. Let's say you roll up a scroll, and then you put a piece of clay on it to seal it. And then you stamp it with the seal, and it's usually an official's name or something like that. And that's what that looks like. So this came off of a scroll, probably. Yeah. Other things could be sealed too, like jugs or whatever, but it depends on what job you have. But there it is. Sometimes we'll call a bulla a sealing. So a seal and a sealing. You can use that terminology too. It's still cool to find. Look how big it is. It's very small. But you have to take it with a grain of salt because people try to get traction with big headlines. So trying to connect it to the Bible is going to get more people to read it. So this guy may or may not be related to the official who worked for King Josiah. Okay, it's possible, but it's not probable. It's just possible. Okay. Paleo-Hebrew is almost identical to Phoenician as far as I know. Yes. They never had their own alphabet. They first borrowed the Phoenician alphabet, and then they borrowed the Aramaic alphabet. Yeah, they didn't invent their own. Yeah. Quick, while Glenn is out, can we talk about Atlantis and how much we secretly admire Graham Hancock? Sure, anytime you want, okay? Ooh, my niece currently studies archaeology in Leiden, second year. All right, very good. Awesome. Where do you find Hebrew script? In inscriptions. I don't know if that's what the question you were asking, but that's the short answer. Yeah. Okay, let's look at another one here. In Pompeii, new evidence shows signs of life post-eruption. So basically, boy, I'm only like 2/3 of the way through here. I got to hurry it up. I put more in here than I usually do. In Pompeii, new evidence shows signs of life post-eruption. So what they found is after the eruption was all over, there were people who went back to Pompeii to live. But they didn't stay very long, I don't think. Okay, it never really got going again, Pompeii. But there is evidence that people came back. So they found archaeological evidence that people came back after. Isn't that amazing? 15 to 20% of the population died in the eruption. So some people got out, but they went back. So that's all I want to tell you about that. You can read about this later. I got to cruise through this. Okay, so the next one. This is from Japan. First ever verified artifacts from Emperor Nintoku's 5th century Kofun tomb revealed. A Kofun tomb is basically like a mound with a tomb underneath it, but it's shaped like a keyhole from the top, as you can see from the picture. Okay, this tomb had been robbed. Well, actually, I shouldn't. Kind of, sort of been robbed. They excavated it in 1872. Okay. And not by professional archaeologists, but by an art collector, basically. His name was Kashiwagi. Okay? Cicero Kashiwagi. And he drew sketches of what was in the tomb and the grave goods and all of that. But they went missing sometime in the meantime. And then, so now we've got all these lost artifacts, probably got sold on the antiquities market or something like that. Well, recently, they found some of these artifacts from the tomb, okay? Including some things of wood, okay? But here's a knife, and there's a part of the wood wood attached to it, okay? You can see here, here's the knife here. Okay, fragments of armors. I mean, you might be saying this isn't really not much to look at. I know. But these came from Emperor Nintoku's tomb. Okay? This is the original wrapping paper. Oh, that's cool. I didn't catch that before. So, I don't know, maybe it's not from his time. This might be wrapping paper from later. Yeah, I would guess so. Here's an illustration of the armor when it was recovered back in the 1800s, so there's not much left of it now. But yeah. But anyway, I thought it was interesting that they found some things that came out of that tomb. There are several tombs that haven't been opened at all, you know. They survived the Pompeii cataclysm and came back to teach advanced knowledge. Maybe. A lot of Paleo-Canaanite alphabet inscriptions are from the Sinai. Yeah, that's pre-Phoenician writing, yeah. Okay, let's look at another one here. Oxford chemist identify honey offering in a 2,500-year-old shrine. You might not think this is much, but we've had these urns from a shrine. You can see right here. Okay? These Greek urns. Okay? 2,500 years old. And inside of them was this weird substance, this weird residue, and nobody knew what it was. Okay? It's like, what is this strange yellowy type brownish residue in these urns? Okay? Well, they just did scientific analysis of them to find out what this strange substance was. And what did they find? It's ancient honey. Yeah. And they believe that the honey was given as an offering to the god of the shrine. Now, who was the god? Does it say? The gods, I guess gods, plural. Yeah. The research is a reminder that archaeological collections hold untapped scientific potential and how new information can be revealed when modern analytical techniques and multidisciplinary collaborations are combined. It's true. It's amazing how things that were found 100 years ago, 50 years ago, whatever, can be analyzed now and new things can be learned about them. Yeah. Okay. Archaeogenetic study reveals population history of southern Caucasus in unprecedented detail. So this is when they say archaeogenetic, they're meaning they're combining genetic research with archaeological research, because archaeologists and geneticists do work together. Geneticists who do historical studies, you know, figuring out where people went and all this, team up with archaeologists all the time to combine their forces, right, and their knowledge in order to figure out, you know, where people were when, okay? And there's a new archaeogenetic study about the history of the southern Caucasus that came out. There's a link here. It's in the journal Cell, okay? They analyzed ancient DNA from 230 individuals across 50 archaeological sites from Georgia and Armenia. Okay, spanning the early Bronze Age to after the migration period. So this is 3,000 years of history. Okay, and the research shows that people in the southern Caucasus retained a mostly constant ancestry profile. So there wasn't a lot of influx into the Caucasus, southern Caucasus, by other people. Okay. The persistence of a deeply rooted local gene pool through several shifts in material culture is exceptional. So that's the interesting thing. The material culture changes. So there'll be like new types, new styles of pots or whatever things they're making. It changes from time to time throughout that 3,000 year period, but the genetic profile does not change. Now, in the old days, we would think like, well, if the archaeological culture changes, that must mean there was a migration. There's some new people that came in and changed everything, and they brought their own stuff. That was a common view. Still is a view that exists out there. But now we're coming to realize that it's not always the case. And in this case, the archaeological culture shifts. Well, fashions change, right? Could be influence from the outside. But the genetic profile doesn't change. Interesting, huh? Yeah, so I thought that was worth bringing out. But there's also references here to the fact that the Caucasus in general was culturally dynamic, meaning there was a lot of influence from other peoples, even if, at least in the southern Caucasus, there wasn't a huge genetic change. Yeah. So check that out when you get a chance. Let's look at another one. Drought unveils lost Hellenistic era city beneath the Mosul Dam. There's been a drought and the water levels have gone down. This is in northern Iraq. Okay? And when that happened, lo and behold, they found a city from the Hellenistic period. That's the period, just after Alexander the Great. Okay? A Kurdish archaeological team in Duhok province has discovered at least 40 ancient ceramic graves and the remains of a once thriving city. But there's not a lot of pictures, unfortunately, of the city. So this is just the cemetery part. If there's anything more on this, I will tell you. All right. We noticed you're running ad blocker. Yes, I am. Can I skip this? Come on. Yes. Okay. This is another one that people are trying... Uh-oh. Oh, it's not letting me. It's not letting me, man. Oh, I guess I have to turn off the ad blocker? Well, I'll just... Yeah, I guess I have to turn off the ad blocker. Wildfire... Oh, I want to show you the pictures. Okay, I'll turn off the ad blocker. Oh, this is annoying. Okay, let's try this. Okay, where is it now? Let me go back to the article, folks. Okay. Hopefully it won't turn off now. So, all the ads come up. Wildfire unveils lost biblical village of Bethsaida. Now, this is from the New Testament. Bethsaida is mentioned. And the archaeologists who are working here... Now, I just want to mention this. The archaeologists who are working here are interested in trying to tie things into the Bible. That is their purpose. So we have to keep that in mind, because their effort is to prove the Bible. Okay. However, okay, this site there was a fire. Okay, and you can see some of the images. Let's see, of the wildfire. It uncovered a bunch of stuff, and it's in the right area for the city of Bethsaida. All right. Let's see if we can find some of the ruins. Here's some more of the fire damage. Here's some of the ruins. Okay, and there's a Roman era city that was found. Now they knew about later remains from this city, but they found the Roman period remains, and this would be right in the period when Jesus lived. So it's very interesting because it's in the right place for Bethsaida. However, they did not find an inscription that identifies the site as Bethsaida. It's their logical conclusion, I guess, but there's not definite proof yet that this is Bethsaida. But it is in the right general location, okay? So I wouldn't be surprised if it were Bethsaida, but I'm just letting you know that. Also, they said they found an inscription that mentioned the Apostle Peter. Here's some coins. But it doesn't actually mention the Apostle Peter. It just says, it refers to someone who holds the keys. I think that's what the expression was. It's in here somewhere. Something about someone who holds the keys of the kingdom, or... Oh yeah, here it is. The inscription doesn't explicitly name Patros, Peter in Greek, but explicitly appeals to the keeper of the keys. And that, Wong, that's the name of this guy up there, refers to Peter, to whom Jesus promised the keys to heaven. Maybe. It's possible. Possible. But it's just one interpretation. So it could be. Could be. It doesn't mean that he was alive at the time, though, because the inscription comes from after he would have been alive, but it would have been referring back to him, in other words. Yeah. So anyway, that's something to keep an eye out for. See what else they find. Okay? Dr. Antiquity, if I may call you that, what kind of evidence do we have of the Iron Age Levant region? As far as I'm aware, biblical archaeologists mainly refer to the written descriptions of the OT. Oh, there's a ton of stuff, HP, from all periods in the Levant, right through. So you got things from, of course, early, but through the Assyrian, Babylonian, Persian, Hellenistic, and Roman periods. All through there are all kinds of archaeological remains. Yeah, so it has a very rich history. Israeli nationalist and Chinese nationalist archaeology is frustrating to deal with, not going to lie, because they're the two worst offenders in terms of volume of bunk research getting published. Well, I would say the bunk research is coming from mostly non-specialists, amateurs, people like that, or reporters that are reporting on the finds. This is not to say that there aren't, like, in some cases where there are nationalists. Well, actually, nationalists are a problem with archaeology in a lot of countries, most countries. But they're not the ones doing the excavations. They're the ones reporting on the excavations. Does that make sense? Now, of course, there are bound to be some nationalist archaeologists, but because of peer review, their research is not going to get that far. Okay? The bunk that you see is mostly from the media, I would say. That's from my experience anyway. Okay. Mandy says they always seem to say things mention people from the Bible. They rarely actually end up mentioning them. That's odd. There are some. There's no doubt that there are some connections. Obviously, like any document, the Bible's going to have factual statements in it. But there are people that want to, that kind of stretch it a little bit to make it fit because it means a lot to them to try to prove it or something like that. But as long as we're neutral and just look at the evidence and see where it points, we won't go wrong. Well, we're less likely to go wrong. Yeah. Okay. Imperius, thank you so much for the donation. Is that your second donation? Very, very grateful. What's our earliest evidence for locks and keys? Well, there's different kinds of locks and keys, but if you're talking about the kind that we think of where, you go like this and you turn it and you open it, I know they had them in the Roman period. Did they have them in the Greek period, the Hellenistic period? I'm not sure, but I know we at least have them by the Roman period. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's look at another one here. Shroud of Turin, here's another Bible one. Shroud of Turin wasn't laid on Jesus' body, but rather a sculpture, modeling study suggests. Okay, look at that. So, I don't know if you know about the Shroud of Turin. It's such a controversial object, but some people believe that it's proof of the resurrection of Jesus because somehow his body was imprinted on the shroud, which would have wrapped his body. Okay, there's been all kinds of scientific studies done on it. All right, but this is another one, okay, with some new technology, okay, and this analysis says that the imprint was not made by a human body, but from a sculpture, a relief sculpture. Yeah, so it was published in Archaeometry magazine. You can click on that here to go to the study, and this is the conclusion of this particular study about the shroud. Okay, which I think most historians and scientists believe it is a fake. It's from the medieval period, maybe. It could be even later, I'm not sure. Oh, actually, did they give a date? I seem to remember them giving a date. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, this is from another study. A carbon dating analysis carried out in 1989 placed the shroud's creation in the range AD 1260 to 1390. Yeah. So something to keep in mind. Okay. Let's look at another one here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 5. No, I've only got 4 more. 4 more. 5 more, and I'll let you go. Okay. maybe you're enjoying it. I don't know. Okay. You can always come back and watch the rest later. But this is a early Bronze Age ceremonial complex in Jordan at Muraygat, Jordan. Early Bronze Age is pretty old, you know. Now, there's not a lot here to look at, but this is an ancient ceremonial complex. There's another ritual one for you, Stuart. But it could rewrite what we know about early Bronze Age ritual life in the southern Levant. Oh, you're talking about Levant? Here's some more stuff, right? Yeah, so you can find, look at, these are dolmens. But basically, it is a ceremonial site. It's not a settlement, okay? But it was, religiously significant, spiritually significant, or something like that, okay? Yeah, but they had feasting that went on there because there were bowls with the remains of food in them. And, here's another shot. Yeah. So you can read up on that when you get a chance. I'm just kind of cruising through these now. A single mutation made horses rideable and changed human history. Now, there's been a lot of DNA work done on horses over the last 5 years or so, mainly led by Ludwig Orlando, who I interviewed on the channel a couple years ago. But this recent study, the most recent study, shows that there was something that happened in the genetic makeup of the horses that made them rideable. So they had not really been so much before, okay? And now they figured out when this occurred, around 4,200 years ago, okay? And where, which of course is in Central Asia. This is 3,500 years ago in the Eurasian steppe north of the Caspian Sea. Okay, and that allowed horses to spread because then people could start using them to ride. I guess the earlier genetic shift was for domestication, and then the rideability came a little bit later. So that's what this is all about, and you can read up on that. The study is linked. And then we've got here, they're getting a little bit more trivial here, but I just wanted to show this one to you. It's from Siberia. Come on, load up, will you? Load up. Here we go. 2,000-year-old Siberian funerary masks. This is from the Tajik people, the Tajik culture. And because I got to turn my ad blocker back on. Sorry, folks, it's annoying me. Oops, I don't want to show you that one yet. Okay, you see this this mask? This is what it looks like. But they were able to use new technology to reconstruct the original appearance of the funerary masks, and this is what they look like. Yeah, they use 3D scanning, AI reconstruction, and digital restoration technologies to show this would have been placed on the dead body. All right, so they found, of course, there were graves here in the Tajik culture, and this was put on the dead person when they were interred, and it would have looked like that. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Yeah. This is from India. And by the way, I am teaching a class on India coming up September 7th, so I think I should plug that as well if you're interested in it. I don't think I put a link below the video, but if you're interested, just write in the comments you're interested, and I'll show you the link. I can even add a link. Now, you know about the Harappan civilization, also known as the Indus Valley civilization. Well, if you look at this map here I've got, you see it's kind of shaped like a C? You see how it's shaped like a C? If you look at Mohenjo-Daro in the middle there, and you just, if you look at the D in Daro, and just under that, they've found the remains of a new site. Okay, so it means the Harappan culture is actually a little bit further east in that middle area. This is a desert area, by the way. It's complete desert, but they've found the remains of a city there, and that's what this is all about. 4,500-year-old Harappan civilization remains discovered. Well, I don't know if it's a city, but there was a settlement there, and it has a lot of the features that you would expect, and it lists them here. Where is it? Where's the list? Oh, here it is. red and I think it means red and white colored pottery. Okay, handmade pottery decorated with geometric patterns, blades made from chert, bangles, terracotta cakes, stone mills, wedge-shaped bricks, standard rectangular bricks, a furnace structure, remains of ancient walls. These are all signs of Harappan civilization. They found at the site. It's in Rajasthan, so it's near the Pak means Pakistan border. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah. And then finally, folks, not really a big one, but I did get a chance to go to Aspendos. I did a video on Aspendos. It's in the Turkey series. And they just found a new head, okay? Yeah, there it is. It's a head of a Roman emperor. Now the question is, which Roman emperor is it? And they have it narrowed down to two. It could be, it's from the late 3rd century AD, it says, and it could represent Emperor Gallienus or Emperor Claudius II Gothicus, both of whom ruled during the turbulent period known as the Crisis of the 3rd century. So it's one of those two guys. I guess we don't have enough images of those two to really be able to narrow it down, or maybe they look kind of alike. But kind of cool to get a Roman emperor's head. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you today. Can we use the information about the horse riding timeline to correlate the relation of horses arriving in that northern Indian culture? I think there needs to be more work done there, Brown-Eyed Soul. I talked to Ludwig Orlando about this, and he is interested in doing that. He has to do things one step at a time, okay? But I think he is going to begin working on the genetic ancestry of horses in India, so we should have more information about that in the next few years, I'm hoping. Yeah. No progress in deciphering the Harappan script, right? That is correct. There is a guy who says, there's always people who say they decipher it, but it doesn't look to be the case, especially when this particular guy, he refuses to publish in any peer-reviewed linguistic journal or anything. He doesn't really want scholars to look at it, and he himself is not a linguist. He's doing this all through computer technology and so forth. So I don't think it's going to amount to much, but so far we still don't have a decipherment. Yeah. Does the Harappan Mohenjo-Daro culture even show any evidence of horses? There are bones that some people claim look like horse bones, but they're not whole. They're just pieces. But they could equally be another equid. So, and there's not many of them at all. So nothing concrete. Yeah. The Roman emperor looks high out of his mind. Yeah, his eyes are kind of up into it. You know? Yeah, true. All right, well, thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I appreciate all the donations. Thank you for helping out the channel. I appreciate it so much that you even come here to watch this stream and find out what's going on, and I'll continue to bring them to you each month as long as you keep coming. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a fantastic day.